Okay, good morning. Welcome to the discussion segment of Good Morning Anambra this lovely day, the 23rd day of June 2023. My name is Ajilichuku Okabwe, and this morning we shall be discussing about the role of civil service, talking about the role of public servants in national development, commemorating the 2025 World Day of Public Service. I'm sure every family in this great nation has a public servant or a civil servant connected in some way or the other. So when we're talking about this, we're talking about Nigeria in retrospect, because that's what's pulls, that's the engine that galvanizes this country. And in the studio this morning, we have before then I go to the studio, the term for this year is talking about 5 years to 2030, accelerating public service delivery for a sustainable future. How well is that? We just have 5 years to go. But then the guests in our studio will tell us how far they have been going, how far the Nigerian public service has been going in order to actualize that sustainable future we are talking about. And in the guests this morning, we have Chika Dennis Mo Meife, that is Chairman, Joint Public Service Negotiating, JNC Anambra State. Good morning, Mr. Chika.
Good morning, President.
Thank you so much. And also we have Comrade Uche Nwoye, State, Anambra State Secretary, Joint Public Negotiating Council. Good morning, Comrade Uche Nwoye.
Good morning, sir.
It's always a pleasure to talk, to have you guys in the studio and talk about the fabric that holds this nation. Now, talking about the role of public servants, can you first and foremost break it down for us on what public servants actually really is?
Yeah, like I said, good morning, presenter. The World Public Service Day is celebrated annually on June 23rd, and it is a creation of United Nations.
Okay.
So it is actually a day created to recognize the impact of the public servants and community, state, national, and world development. So it is a day that the effort of excellent performers are recognized. It is a day that sometimes we even organize awards that will be given to workers or public servants that performed exceptionally so far. So the role of public servants, let me start with telling you that public servants are different from civil servants, because civil servants are part of public service. From the president to the governors to civil servants to doctors to police, law enforcement agents, and even the judges. Once you are working within the public sector, you are a public servant. So the role they play in nation building and building economic development and growth is something that is massive, and we all know that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And now let me come back to you, Secretary Comrade Uche. Now, talking about the Public Service Joint Negotiating Council, this nomenclature, this name, this title, can you break it down a little bit for us and let us know the role this Joint Negotiating Council offers, or how do they bring, what is exactly the role of this association organization?
Okay. It's a joint public service negotiating council. The council is made up, the joint public service negotiating council is made up of 3 councils. Council 1, the union that is involved is the Association of Senior Civil Servants. Then Council 2 is made up of 2 councils, that is 2 unions, which is an offshore Nigerian Union of Public Service, reportorial, secretarial, data processors, and allied workers. Then the second one that make up the Council 2 is NCSU, Nigerian Civil Service Union. Then the Council 3, that because these 3 councils make up the Joint Public Service Negotiating Council. Council 3 is made up of OPCA, NUPRO, medical and health, nurses and midwife, NUWI, agric union. There are 5 unions that are made up of Council 3. And in these councils, we have a chairman and secretaries. We normally attend what we call a separate council. Separate council is done once in a year, where we now deliberate on the welfare of workers. There we present memos to the council if it's approved.
These memos is to the government, isn't it?
Yes.
No. So in this council, do you have members of the government, like
yes,
whatever transaction
has been? Yes. We in Joint Public Service Negotiating Council, we have government side. We have a government side and a trade union side. Yes, government side, the head of service, chairman, is the overall. So, in a trade union side, we have the chairman there, who is a labor official. So these two comes together in that separate council.
If I may come in. The role of JNC, the Joint Negotiating Council, is to make peace between the government and the workers' union. We have 2 labor centers, but anytime there is any difference in their negotiation, when they do not agree, the JNC comes in to bring peace and harmony. That is the major role.
We'll still get back to that to see how this harmony is being, bring together. But now that brings me to the next question I have for you this morning. 5 years to 2030, accelerating public service delivery for a sustainable future. That is very, very huge. We are 5 years away from the set date. Now, talking about accelerating service delivery. The acceleration of service delivery, as you all know in Nigeria, we just read about the pump price increasing this morning because of the crisis that is going on in a different continent. But here we are in this country feeling the pinch, feeling the tightness of it all on our meager resources, and fuel is a binder in this part of the world. Now, what role are you guys playing in order to make sure that government, things like this, doesn't affect the workforce of Nigerian government? I mean, the workforce of the Nigerian masses, the citizens, based on what we're having currently like now. That's Mr. Dennis.
First of all, you would understand that the world is a global village.
We all know that.
What affects one person from any end definitely will affect the other person, because of the way the whole world they will come together to operate as one. You know, the 2030 we are talking of is the date set aside for the Sustainable Development Goals.
Yeah.
So our ability to meet that Sustainable Development Goal through public service delivery is what we are talking. Okay. And I think what we will do, or what we are doing in order to meet up the 2030 target, is to have an increased transparency and accountability on the side of public servants, being open to what we do. Things that are affecting others, we have to accommodate it because it is not our making. It is not in our making. It is not the making of our state government or making of Nigerian government. It is and if something that will be felt all over the world. Another thing is making people to understand, engaging the citizens, the workers, to know why is this thing happening this way, and to also know that this thing is not going to be permanent. It is something that will be temporary, just as we are doing now. Because I believe that what we are doing here, so many workers are watching. This thing where this fuel increase we will experience because of the war that is going on in the Middle East is not going to last long, because I believe that that fight will not last by the grace of God.
Okay, thank you for that. I believe you're speaking based on your own religious inclination. But now talking about civil service and then the public servants, the crucial role they play in implementing government policies and providing essential services to citizens, and their responsibilities are humongous. But now the question is, you talked about transparency. How transparent it is the way the public servants work in negotiating with the government in order for us to have a smooth running, regardless of the fact that you have a theme that is talking about 2030 sustainable goal. We are talking about beyond that, what we face on a daily basis, sustainable. Is it with empty stomach? Because Nigerian public servants are crying. The take home is not enough. So now the question is, what role are you guys playing? And what's the level of your transparency? Because we know there are civil servants, public servants are mad with corruption. What's your take on that, Comrade Uche?
The level of transparency in the side of labor.
Yeah.
You see, the king of Benin, once the king of Benin, King Government Nobaisi, says that uneasy lies the head that wears the crown. See, for labor to fight for the welfare of workers is not a do or die affair. That is why we have a joint public service negotiating council. That everything should be done in a round table. Everything is not about fighting. What we did not get today, tomorrow we will get that. We know that we are going there, but it will not be something you just go and force government that they must do this. Because you see,
but government has a role to play in the welfare of the citizens.
Yes.
So it's not a case of forcing, it's a responsibility to the government. And who better to make the government know their responsibility? Organizations like yours.
Yes, and that is what we are doing. That's what we are doing. Whenever an issue comes up, we will write to government. We will try and meet with government, and we discuss the issue. Then if it's something that will go on strike, we will go on strike. If it's something that we will come and sit without working, we will do that. But in some issues, we will balance things. If government were able to offer something that is at least tangible, we will take it while we now plan ahead to come back. Because what do they call it? Oliver Twist said he wants someone. He said this economic crisis we are feeling today is impacting.
Should I come in?
When you want to.
Okay.
So it's hurting. It's a draining workers, because workers don't have any other place of gaining resources. But government has made a lot of promises to workers, and these promises that are fulfilling it gradually. So now we are waiting from one step to another. Now they are giving us the minimum wage.
Which is not enough.
It's not enough, but it's something. It's something we are starting from there, and we'll get to other places.
Okay.
Because the function of government is numerous. We understand that. And our own function is to let the government know what the workers need, and for the government to provide it. But the one they couldn't provide now, we will do everything possible to let them know the importance of doing that. Labor has a process of doing things, and those processes we are following. And we have national offices where we feedback on the steps we are taking for them now to give us further directive on what to do next.
We'll get to that later on. Now,
what I wanted to contribute there is, when you talk of transparency, you are talking of being open in what you are doing.
Exactly.
Yes.
And
both
parties,
yes,
the government and the joint negotiating council.
yes,
and the rest of
and being open, the labor, those that go for negotiations with the government don't just wake up and go. They represent groups. In Trade Union Congress, we have about 38 unions or affiliates. The same way we have more than 50 in NLC. Before we go to government for negotiation, we carry representatives from all these affiliates. Sometimes, if we cannot go with a crowd, we reduce the number to a barely, but we must be on representative capacity.
And there is unanimous agreement on
Yes.
this is what we want.
Yes.
Government.
Yes. And but what I want to tell you is that you know that salary is a recurrent expenditure, and a very good financial manager will always work with what you get. Do you understand? You don't increase or start up something you cannot sustain. Remember, we are talking of sustainability.
Yes.
So whatever we will agree with government, because we are also in the Anambra, and we will not want a situation the government will move and march. So we know the figures. I believe the government know that, even the workers know the figures. So when they propose, we will also consider issues so that Anambra will be a going concern. It will not march one day.
Okay.
Thank you.
Talking about sustainable development as captured in your team, it's not just all about salary increment and the rest of it all. It has to cut across. I remember much younger, when we were much younger, civil servants had a lot of benefit. In fact, it was the creme de la creme to have yourself or any member of your family to be a civil servant, irrespective of the ranking. But this day, civil service, public servants, except you're laced in corruption, you barely can survive. There are little cover for your children's education, there are little cover for your health, there are little cover for even accommodation. So much burden on this salary that doesn't seem to be taking anybody home. What is the labor, the public service, your organization doing in order to integrate all this in order to make the burden a little bit easy for the civil servant? Take for example the education, the accommodation, and then health benefit and the rest of it all. Comrade Uche.
Government.
Or you guys have not had a package where you present to the government and
No.
say, we need this, we need that, housing for civil servants,
As my chairman,
education for this, for our children, and the rest of that. Let it be, all encompassing, and not just salary increment and the rest of it all.
as my chairman has already said, everything we are doing is not only our efforts. We normally have meetings, we have people that we are leading, we discuss with them, and before we meet the government, we have something that we want to present to the government. And now we are packaged a lot, even before now, and the government is aware of everything.
Can you share part of those packages that you package?
Okay. One of the packages is that you know about ASHA,
Yeah.
health insurance, which government started a long time ago to help the civil servants not to, because when you are enrolled in that ASHA, you will be able not to spend even your kobo or very little to take care of yourself. It's one of the packages.
Okay.
So another one is the government has made a lot of promises, and government has in various states, and in Anambra State we have what we call a public service boss. Public service boss, though I don't know, but now they are trying to innovate it, because government has given directive to that, so that they will now repackage it and know how to bring it so that it will serve the civil service better. So public service boss is one of the ways government provided to alleviate the suffering of workers. Because if you're taking at least 1,000 naira from money to worker, and if public service boss will take you maybe around 500 or so, it will help you. These are the few things I can offer now. And again, the government has introduced a lot of things. They are giving out, they are encouraging workers to engage in farming and the other activities that will help them, because the challenges facing the workers I believe it's facing the government more.
Okay. Thank you. So there's no package for housing for...
No, there's package for housing.
For civil servant and...
There's package for housing.
Okay, quickly, before we round up, let me come back to you, Dennis. Now, in all of these things that you've said, what would you say lies the greatest challenge? The negotiating and then the government meeting the demands of, you understand, the public servants, so that the sustainable growth we're talking about come 2030 will be there for you to see.
Okay, I know when my secretary was saying something, I had wanted to contribute something there.
Please do. It's very
because yes, our salaries can barely take us home, but I want to advise us. People should live their life planning very well with what they have. In Anambra State, we have free education up to SS3. We have free maternity delivery and so on and so forth in the hospital. And the ASHA you mentioned, our people should also try and make use of those things. If your salary is 70,000 naira and you decide to take your child to a school where they pay 120,000 a term, you know you are trying to live above your limit. We have schools. Most of the people, I normally ask my own children, where did Soludo go? Oga boys. P2B went to CKC. Today, they have been governors of Anambra State. It is not when you go to the marriage that you'll be what God wants you to be. You can still go to this public school. In fact, we have better teachers. The governor just employed 8,000 something within the last 3 years.
Thank you so much. But then we're talking about the challenges that you guys are facing, or the public servants will be facing, in order to get the very best of services from government.
I have told you that
our time is almost up.
Okay, having a transparent system of doing things will help.
Okay.
And having a better package that will encourage workers to do more.
Okay.
But these things are things we will do systematically, which I believe is in process. Remember, I told you that NLC and TUC, it is their duty to push for all these things. What the role of the JNC is to mediate and make sure that they resolve this crisis amicably between government and the labor unions.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. We appreciate that. Coming from Chika Dennis Mom Ife, Chairman, Joint Public Service Negotiating Council, JNC, Anambra State. And also want to use the opportunity to thank you to Comrade Uche Nwoye, State Secretary, Anambra State Public Service Joint Negotiating Council. And that's how we're going to be, ending this segment. Up next will be summarizing the role of public servants in national development, commemorating the 2025 World Day of Public Service was what we just discussed. Up next is the Vox Pop. Don't go anywhere, the show continues.
Na ọrụ oyibo dị mma ka a na-arụ ya ma ọ bụrụ na gọọmenti ya motivate ndị na-arụ ọrụ oyibo, motivation, financial motivation, economic motivation, academic motivation, and other motivations. So ọ bụrụ na enwe motivation nọkịta before isi ebe ibu wee bịa ebe anụma ịma ego na ọya eweghị na transportation. Kedu ihe gọọmenti na-eme maka transportation ndị ọrụ oyibo? Nothing. Akwụkwọ onwe oge anwa ya akwụkwọ iwere ya gbaa moto from here to there, from here to there, before you be office you have for you. So n'ihe na-ekwu motivation dị mkpa. Onwe ndị ọrụ oyibo gbogotegwo na ndị isi sinye ha ego ka ha goo moto. Onwe ndị opekata mpe si ma ego si chọọ ego iji ha na-agba moto na-enye ha. Onya mara onye bịazie late n'ọrụ amalụ why. Mana ị nweghị ihe mere mmadụ si anya bịaba n'oge. Nwa obere oge anwe kwụrụ ya. Isi anya na-abịa n'oge nya achakwa na ịbịa ọrụ late dị mma o. Kama na ọ dị mkpa na ya na-emotivate ndị politicians. Ịma ndị anyị na-alụ ọrụ ndị politicians. Dị ka nwa onye kwuru ikpeazụ kwuchara ọ sị na contract yes. So n'ihe na-ekwu enwere career civil servants need to be motivated. adịkwere ka ehi ehu ukwu dịka ndị ọrụ oyibo and gọọmenti nọ n'ọchịchị ka ọ dụọrụ ọwụ onye ọzọ. So ọ bụrụ na a chọrọ ka eme ka ọrụ oyibo gaa ọfụma ka o si dịbu adị si mee ka ndị mmadụ ndị na-alụ ya bụ ọrụ oyibo nwee ihe ha ji ka obutọ ha ụtọ ka ha mụọ amụ na igwe amụ ọwụwa politicians na-amụ ndị ọrụ oyibo atachie ihu ihe masị na-agba swag ka ihe kpata na a na-agba swag ọ bụ because na anaghị emete ha ọfụma ka ihe kpata na ndị ọrụ oyibo ji ahịa aka n'ụkwụ ọ maka na anaghị eme ha ọfụma. So unu ya agwa ndị ọrụ oyibo ndị politicians ndị nọ na gọọmenti bido na gọvanọ ruo na nke ọbụla ochie ya mee ka ndị ọrụ oyibo keta oke na ihe siere ndị mmadụ ike ife siri ike n'ezinụlọ agụụ dị before ị mata garị before ị gote ihe ofe ego ole ka inwe a na-akwụghị. So ihe na-ekwu motivation, financial motivation, academic motivation, transport motivation. With that onye obi ọrụ ọ dị happy. Thank you.
Onye pụtara nne wee sị ka e wee nye n'ọrụ kwesịrị ka o mee gịnị ka ọ debe ụkpụrụ n'usoro eji welie n'ọrụ. Chief ụtụtụ edewe oge oyi eji wee na-abịa ọrụ nya kaba arụ debe oge ahụ ka ọ na-abịa edego oge eji na-agbasa agbasa nya kaba arụ n'ọdụ ya ka e wee gbasa ya bụ na ife na ọ chọrọ ọ chọzịa na-eyi ebunye ya n'ọkwa eme gịnị afụgo ụkpụrụ n'usolie ebunye ya n'ọkwa maka gịnị na ọ na-alụ ọrụ ya ọfụma.
The federal government should prioritize paying civil servants every monthly. That one aside, then there's another one, pension. Their pension should not be overemphasized in terms of, when somebody resigns at the age of 60, 65, he or she will not be able to get his or her pension. That's very bad. So you have to make a provision for that as they serve the country.
Government can increase their salaries, give them a lot of support so that they can do their work very well.
Ndị weliva n'ọlụ kwesịrị oge ni eweliva n'ọlụ si nye ife eji na-alụ ọlụ. Ọ bụrụ na edebelie ka ọ bụrụ gịnị ka ọ bụrụ na eji na-enweta edemede eji ede ọlụ a na-akpọ n'usoro biki si nye biki si nye ife eji alụ ọlụ ka ọ ghara ịbụ ndị nje wọtasị kịta nwere ike ewele mmadụ n'ọlụ ka ọ na-alụzi ọlụ ya bụ aweta ndị akpọrọ ndị kọntraktị na-abụrụ ndị olu oyibo ya abụba alụkwa lụsịa ba pụọ ndị na-anọlụ chifu ụtụtụ nwatakịrị bịazi ọlụ ma ọ bụ okenye bịa ọlụ ọ nọla anị nọ na-ene n'anya mba ife o kwesịrị ka ọ were lụọ ọ ya alụrụ ya ọ bụrụ onye ọzọ wee lie.